Hi, I'm, as promised, going to talk about breast health and aluminum today. First, have to state that I'm not a medical doctor. I'm giving you my opinion here and how I feel about the subject. I apologize in advance if I get emotional. My hormones are crazy lately. I cried during the Chip and Joanna Gaines audiobook the other day, so it doesn't take much, but this is very close to my heart, and I'm going to talk from my heart. Have a yoga class in 45 minutes, so I'm going to try to be done here in 20 minutes, 25 minutes, but I have a lot that I want to go over and a lot of opinions to share. Whenever I asked for questions the other day, this was one of the topics that someone asked about. It was my opinion on breast health or breast cancer in relation to aluminum, so that's what this whole roundabout is going to be discussing. First, I will share with you my personal history. My grandmother had breast cancer. She died of ovarian cancer. My mother's sister died of breast cancer. My mother died of cancer at 62 years old, and it was in her breast when she died, but it had metastasized there. It was not originally a breast cancer. I recently did genetic testing. I'm going to give you links to all this on our website, which is gethealthylouisiana.org. Afterward, I'm not writing a full blog post on it, but I will put a link to this video information and anything that I discuss in here as far as links and places that I find information. But anyways, I went to color.com, which is being advertised on Facebook right now. My husband and I both did, because our parents died at 59 and 62. Our dad's at 59, our mom's at 62. And it was important to us to know whether genetically, we had issues we needed to watch out for and to be healthier for. Well, mine came back with a couple of genetic mutations. One of them is the BARD1 gene, and BARD1 gene in studies has shown to be related to breast cancer and ovarian cancer and some other cancers. So I went to MD Anderson after I got the genetic counseling from Color, which was required before I could get my results from them, and the opinions varied widely between Color and MD Anderson. I'm actually speaking to somebody else, and MD Anderson is not for me. They wanted me to start on chemo immediately for a preventive measure, and if you know me very well, I'm not wanting to add drugs or things like that into my body to prevent disease, because I'm already trying to be healthy to prevent disease in other ways. See, there's the BRCA1 and 2 are genetic tests that have a higher risk even than the BARD1 gene. So if you decide to do testing, color.com, usually about $250. They have it on special right now for $149. If you then have family members, I have 3 children, and there's a 50% chance that I pass this gene on to them. They each get to be tested for $50, and it's very worthwhile, because then you can have the freedom of not worrying about it, or have the knowledge to try to figure out what's the best thing for you to do with that information. And then we also have some other testing that we can order here through Doctor's Data and ZRT. And I'm not trying to sell you testing. You can go to your doctors for this, but this is something that I wanted to go over with you. And I'm going to post pictures. These are my results from some of my latest tests, and I'm going to post pictures of these. I'm pretty much open book on that. I'm going to place these pictures on the website so that you can look at what the test results look like. On this particular one, I happened to take IV chelation at Dr. Sessions' office in Kirbyville, and this particular one is talking about aluminum, is why I got it out. The chelation, this is a 24-hour urine test. The chelation was pulling a lot of aluminum out of my body, so that shows that there is still a lot in there. And I don't use aluminum foil. I haven't used aluminum-containing deodorant in over 20 years. I don't use aluminum pots. We eat very little out of cans. I try my best to be proactive in that kind of way, but it still gets in your body. The one that we do here, and that I would recommend that anybody do, I think it's important. This is probably my 5th or 6th one to get done over the years, and I have 2 different ones here that I'm going to put pictures of there. But this is a hair analysis, and you take, and I don't even know the price of this. I think it's under $150, but you would pick up the kit from me. I would do the requisition for it, and you do the test yourself and send it off. I don't make money off of this. This is a service that my office provides, but it then tells you, looks at all the heavy metals that may be present in your body at any time, and then you know, then you can decide whether to do some form of chelation, whether to increase your vitamin C, or what you may need to do to know what the state of your body is right now as far as any heavy metals that are concerned. The Hair Elements kits looks like this, and I'll put more pictures on the website of that. Things that I personally believe that you should avoid, and I'm not going to talk about studies too much here because you can find that information on the internet, but soy, I believe, is the devil. It's injected into everything that we eat. If you go buy a raw chicken because you think you're going to be doing good for your family at home, chances are you're going to look and see that it has natural juices already injected into it, and part of those natural juices are soy, because soy retains fluids and makes the chicken more plump, which is going to make it juicier. That's what's in Butterball that makes it the juiciest of the turkeys. But I don't know if that's something. I would rather have mine be a little dry than cause breast cancer. The newest studies do say that the fermented soy is okay, and it's actually healthy for you and breaks down fibrinogens in the blood for cardiovascular disease. But that would be things like tempeh or tempeh and nattokinase and other things that miso paste. Those would be healthier for you, but not tofu and not soy. And just turn around, if you eat processed food, look at the labels. If it has soy on there, put it back and get a different one. To avoid also are aluminum, and not just thinking about your deodorant, but think about baking powder, think about the pans you use. Time for a new set of pots anyway, I'm sure. Foil, cans, it comes from a lot of other areas. And other things that we avoid is the BPA containing water bottles. I drink bottled water all day long, 5 to 6 bottles a day. You should be drinking that to flush your body, about a gallon a day. But whenever you get a whole case of water for $3 and it's been sitting out in the gas station parking lot in the sun for the last 6 months, the BPAs in those bottles has leached into that water. You can taste the difference. Put them side by side and taste it yourself next time you go to a baseball game and buy water at the concession stand. That stuff's killing you. You can actually taste the parabens, the plastics, the BPAs going into your body. So even though it's healthier to drink water, to be better than drinking a soda, you want to try to look for BPA-free labels. That's important. And the doctors now are saying avoid dairy. I have an opinion on that as well. I believe that you have to avoid dairy that you would find at the big grocery stores, at Walmart and things like that, because it has growth hormone in it. They're feeding these cows growth hormones so that they will produce more milk so that they can make more money. That's what business that they're in. Hi Candy, thanks for joining. And that's very important, but organic dairy is not going to have growth hormones added. So if you don't want to avoid dairy, I love dairy. I love cheese. I don't eat as much as I would like to of it. I like a little bit of cream in my organic coffee, but I use an organic cream. I use organic cheese, and I'm not, hey, get healthy. I'm not worried so much about the dairy itself as I am the growth hormones and the antibiotics and things that are in the regular mainstream dairy. You also get estrogen is mimicked by cruciferous vegetables like broccoli. That's going to still go to the same estrogen receptors as the estrogen that comes from your own ovaries if you have them, or from the BPA in the water bottles, but it's at least a healthier version. Those are called phytoestrogens, so you don't want to increase those estrogens if you have an estrogen fed issue. But if in general, broccoli would be healthy if you don't have an estrogen fed cancer issue in your breast. Lost my train of thought. I made myself a lot of notes here, but so I'm just gonna move on. If I think of it, I'll come back to it. The latest study that I read on aluminum said that the reason you don't want it in your deodorant is that it blocks your sweat glands and your detox pathways, and it causes changes in the estrogen receptors of breast cells. I got this information from the study that I'm talking about here. You can look on naturalcosmeticnews.com and find some links to some studies on there. For one, you don't want your sweat glands blocked. You want to sweat because that's how your body detoxifies. And your estrogen receptors are what most breast cancers are fed with. Also, I'm going to mention parabens. Look for parabens on the labels of the cosmetic products that you use or anything else that you put on your skin. In a study that's on that same website, and I'll give you the link on our website, in 18 of 20 breast cancer cells studied, there were parabens present. That's considered a small study, so that would be considered irrelevant in the big MD Anderson world. Okay, hope I didn't lose you. Propylene glycol is another one to watch out for. But in my world, the small studies that are done by people who care about women, who care about women's health, and who want to be preventive and proactive and keep their own bodies healthy and know what's make their own decisions for their body. Small studies that are done just for the knowledge are important. It doesn't have to be tens of thousands of people in a skewed study. And if you want to ask me about how I feel about a skewed study from my visit to MD Anderson, you can contact me personally and I'll tell you about my experience there last week. And I had another appointment there today that I did not go to. And here's another study that I jotted down. 437 women were in this British study. And these women, the ones who shaved under their arms 3 times a week and used deodorant at least 2 times a week, developed breast cancer 15 years younger than those who didn't. That's a small study that they're going to consider irrelevant. If you go to, say, Susan G. Komen Foundation to read on aluminum and deodorant and how it affects you, a study that was paid for by the deodorant industry, paying off Susan Komen, in my opinion, then they're going to have studied tens of thousands of women and say, oh, that's not irrelevant, you know, so the deodorant companies can still make their millions of dollars. In my opinion, I'm not trying to talk bad about them, but I'm giving you my truth as the way that I see it. And that's how a lot of those studies go. They tried to get me into a study the other day, last week at MD Anderson, and came in to draw my blood because I'm a hard stick. She actually just said, we'll just make you a control. I'm not even going to worry about getting your blood on this. Well, that's not the way studies work. They may have tens of thousands of people in theirs, but you can't just decide that I'm going to be a control because I'm too hard to get the blood from. That it just blows me away. But anyway, that's how the dairy industry, Yoplait sponsors Susan G. Komen. So look at the dairy studies. I bet you there's going to be a study that's going to come out and say, oh no, dairy's not related. And the doctors are now saying, oh, don't eat dairy. It's not the dairy. It's the growth hormones that are added to the dairy. And yes, it's in the Yoplait. It's not in the organic yogurt. So if you love yogurt, I do. I had it for dinner last night. I had the Maple Hill Creamery Greek plain yogurt with stevia and walnuts, and it was delicious. And I'm not worried about that, and even though I do have a genetic issue right now. I also wanted to talk about bioidentical hormones. Test if you're uncomfortable before using them. If you're having menopause type symptoms, which generally perimenopause now is starting about 35 years old, and that, I believe, in my opinion, from the studies that I've read in the natural health industry, is because of all the soy that's injected into every single thing that's provided in the standard American diet now. If you're uncomfortable with just making a decision to use, say, a progesterone cream, we do have testing here. The saliva kits that we do have here, again, I don't make money off of this, and there's pictures of the inside of this, and my sample results will be on the website. But it can test your hormones, the 3 estrogens, the estriol, the estradiol, and whatever the other one is at this moment, I can't think of. But it'll also test your progesterone and your testosterone. Excuse me, Candy just walked in. What? Okay, I only have a few more minutes before the yoga class. But anyway, if you want to test beforehand, I would say test beforehand. Go and ask your regular medical doctor if they'll order these for you, and then maybe your insurance will pay for it. If you don't want if you think it's none of your doctor's business, if you want to make this decision on your own, if your insurance won't pay for it, or if your doctor won't order it, come by here, see me, and I'll give you the kit. Then you more or less spit in a tube, and the envelope is prepaid. It's inside. You send it off, and they send a copy of the results to me and a copy of the results to you. We do use a good progesterone cream. That's the first thing that we recommend, because the body is getting estrogen from all these other sources: the soy, the broccoli, the water bottles, the ovaries, the adrenal glands that take over when the ovaries aren't functioning. But there's no other source of the progesterone, so I would add the progesterone back in test if you want to first, but get a high quality one. If you want a custom made one just for your body, you can take your test results, and Boudreaux's Pharmacy in Lake Charles, Boudreaux's new pharmacy, I think it is, on Preon Lake Road, they make custom ones. Or there's pellets, and we do have a couple of customers and a couple of other people who have used this. I don't recommend it, but they do testing ahead of time, and they generally are going to inject you with pellets that are good if you're, say, need testosterone, because that's the one that gives you more energy and helps build more muscle. So that's the one they sell the most of. For men, I think it's about every 4 months that you would need to get it replaced. Women every 6 months, and don't quote me on that. I did read the book, and I have been to one of the doctor's offices with somebody, but I have and talked to clients who have it. But I would recommend using the creams over that, but that's your own medical decision to make. And last but not least, again, I'm going to put the links, pictures of my test results, how the tests work, links to the websites that I mentioned in here, all on our website, gethealthylouisiana.org. And I hope I was able to answer your question. If not, in closing, I'm going to say no way that I would use deodorant that contained aluminum under my arms, near my breast tissue and my lymph nodes. I haven't for over 20 years. I use Kiss My Face Sport unscented. I don't stink. It seems to work fine. It doesn't keep you from perspiring. That's what the aluminum does in there, is keep you from perspiring. You need to perspire. You need to perspire because that's how your body detoxifies. If you sweat too much and you have a problem with that, I would suggest sage tea, because that's gonna slow down some of the sweating, but you can still detox. But look for a natural deodorant. Look for the ingredients. Don't get one that has aluminum in it. Don't get one with parabens and propylene glycol. Be proactive with your breast health, because nobody's going to care as much about it as you are, and you're an individual person, and you're the one in charge of your body, and that's what I want you to remember. Have a good day. Bye. Alarm set, plus I canceled a phone call during it. Oh, huh. It did.